This is the Kopercrabb podcast.
I'm Chaney Crabb.
I am Navene Koperweis, co-host.
Real quick, I want to tell you guys to go check out all of our social medias. On Instagram, we're at Kopercrabb Podcast. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Facebook, Kopercrabb Podcast. And our merch store, kopercrabb.bigcartel.com. And of course, if you guys ever have any questions, email them to us at kopercrabbpodcast@gmail.com.
Fuck yeah. So apparently we sell mugs on the Big Cartel, and we missed some notifications or something like that. And
they didn't email us. Usually, the way the merch store works, they email you every time you get an order. So I always know when we have orders, and they haven't been emailing me for a few weeks.
So a couple.
So I was
mugs,
just like, okay, we just suck, whatever.
Yeah. So sorry to those who we kind of missed your mug order, but it's in the mail now.
Yeah, we put them all in the mail this morning, and thank you guys so much, really, for your support. I can't believe we sold that many mugs. I called Navene when I looked in the store. Thank you guys so much.
10,000 mugs one day. It's insane.
It was crazy.
It's pretty huge.
It was seriously crazy. So we're living off of mugs right now. Maybe someday we'll throw T-shirts up too.
Maybe not.
Time will tell. It depends on whether or not we get the coronavirus.
Yeah, that's why I'm drinking a Modelo. Not Corona certified.
Not as good as what you ran across me before the podcast.
Oh, I was going to be like, this episode of the Kopercrabb podcast is brought to you by Modelo. But I chickened out. Didn't do it.
Yeah, you didn't throw the joke in.
But I was thinking of something, Chaney. I was thinking if bands out there, we like to talk about underground bands and stuff, or not underground, whatever. I was going to put out this open invite. I'm inviting you, if you have sick band merch and you want to send us something to wear on the program, you know what I mean? Save on wardrobe costs. For me, Chaney won't wear it. She's got her look down.
That's not true. I wear band shirts. To be real with you, the only place I really wear my band shirts are at the gym. But I have an extensive band shirt collection. I'm talking like 3 tubs full of band shirts.
Yeah, when we moved to LA, I got rid. I think I already said this on the show, probably. That I got rid of. I'll say it again. I got rid of a lot of shirts.
Yeah, biggest mistake of your life.
Yeah, well, especially when we started doing the podcast, because I was like, well, it'd be cool to have different shirts to wear, so I'm not wearing the same shirt every time.
Right.
And so I ordered a couple new ones. I got this Watain shirt. This thing is super sick.
Yeah, I order shirts sometimes, and I have a shirt from almost every band we've toured with.
Yeah,
as well.
I know. It's like I thought I had a bunch of those too, and I think I might have went through a spaz minimalist thing, wannabe minimalist, and got rid of some stuff. I don't really know, because I know that I put a bunch of them in a box, and I found the box, but it's not. There's some missing. Let's put it that way.
Well, what I will tell you is that we could still open a T-shirt store.
We still have a lot.
That's not for our own band.
Yeah, we still have a lot.
All of mine are smalls, though, and smalls do not sell like they did back in the day. Back in my day, it was all about those youth larges and smalls.
I know.
And
grown fucking men.
Smalls do not sell as well as the leftover merch we have, for the most part, small. So many people.
What's the most selling shirt? Large?
Large and medium are pretty neck and neck.
Yeah, I've been kind of wearing extra large lately.
Oh yeah, you're going for the baggy.
Kind of a baggy fit.
Even in
vibe.
A small, I'm swimming. I have to alter a small to make it look good.
Dude, I used to wear small.
Yeah.
That's how big I was.
I used to wear mediums and larges.
Damn.
That's how big I was.
Okay, we switched. Because I used to wear small, and it was an appropriate size.
Yeah.
And now putting me in a small is fun. I wear it to no-gi jiu-jitsu instead of a rash guard.
Wow.
So this thing is tight.
Yeah, super tight.
So I guess your boy bulked up.
That's right. But yeah, so the talk of the sauna today was coronavirus.
Oh, that's surprising.
Santa Cruz, we're kind of getting fucked over because there have been 2 cases of coronavirus in Santa Cruz found in the last like 2 or 3 days. So the college here, UCSC, University of California, Santa Cruz, closed until April 3rd.
They're like shut down or what?
Yeah, they're shutting down.
They're doing online study.
They're telling everyone who had in-person classes to go from home.
Dang.
So we'll see how this thing unravels.
Yeah, we're sort of worried about, I mean, I guess I don't want to create any panic, but we're hoping this doesn't affect touring for metal bands.
Well, let's jump into this first question really quickly just because it has to do with this and then we can talk about whatever. But Sean said, you've probably gotten this question already, but I was just curious about the current coronavirus situation and if you see it affecting the smaller venue metal tours in any form outside of possibly the known high-risk areas since we're starting to see show cancellations in bigger venues. And as of an hour ago, Coachella has been moved to October.
Damn.
So my wife's a nurse, so I know how blown out of proportion things are getting and personally think it's pretty ridiculous. I was just curious about an actual artist opinion from the music scene I care about. I'm also bitter about having to stock up on toilet paper because all of the people panicking and buying it all. Thanks. Yeah, this lady in the sauna was talking about how she could not buy toilet paper last night.
I don't really get that. Is there going to be a toilet
That's
paper
what everyone
shortage?
else said.
I don't understand what.
I mean, I guess it's just you don't want to start, you don't want to go outside and get a leaf.
I'll just use the Turkish coffee pot.
How are you going to... spray water on it.
No,
get in the shower.
If you can fill the Turkish coffee pot full of water and then just run it down your butt crack.
That is not what I thought you were talking about doing with the Turkish coffee pot. But anyway,
That's the way to do it, dude.
Honestly, your guess is as good as ours. We did have a conversation with our manager last week.
Correction. This guy's guess is way better than ours. His wife's a nurse.
Yeah, because your wife's a fucking nurse, guy.
We're stupid
Sean,
musicians.
You tell us, man.
Yeah.
We don't know. We
should have him call in.
Yeah, we really should have you call in. Actually, I was listening to an infectious diseases doctor on Joe Rogan right before we started the podcast today, and what he had to say was pretty interesting. But so you guys should check that out because I'm not going to repeat it all.
Yeah.
Because I'm not an infectious diseases doctor.
Basically,
I'm a fucking
we
metal
don't
musician.
know. We sure hope it doesn't do anything bad. Obviously, things in the media are always overblown, right? I mean, that's safe to say.
Mm-hmm.
If you've ever had some sort of story happen, like in your town or something that you actually know about, and then you see it on the news, then you start to wonder, okay, wow, what else, you can tell how overblown that would be. So,
however,
obviously there's some sort of panic around it.
There is a panic, but I don't know that that does not correlate with cancellations. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like whether or not it's just people panicking doesn't correlate with whether or not they will cancel shows. It's like because of panic, that's why the shows are getting canceled.
Yeah, I've definitely wondered about it, but my uneducated guess is that we're going to keep on trucking and it's going to be fine.
Yeah, but I just really have no idea. I mean, we have asked each other a few times in the last couple of days if we should get a hold of our booking agent and just see if there's any talk of that stuff happening, because we had a conversation with our manager last week and he's got, bigger bands on his roster where they're like going to Asia or wherever the fuck they're going and playing festivals and have a lot of money in this, and their stuff's getting canceled and they're losing money. Yeah. And if you guys are familiar with Lacuna Coil, I think that what just happened to them, because they're an Italian band, is that they were trying to get into other countries on a tour and people started turning them away. So they had to go back to Italy. And as of, I think this morning, Italy has totally closed its borders.
Yeah.
So shows are getting canceled there for sure. For smaller metal tours.
Yeah, I mean we have friends and stuff that are in Europe, and we have European friends that are in the States right now.
Mm-hmm.
So I wonder how it's all gonna play out. I would suspect, obviously, it's a problem, but I think day-to-day metal shows,
yeah, I don't really know.
I think we'll be good to go.
I think the problem will be if they start like shutting down gatherings of 50 or more people or advising against those. And, you know, we don't know how this is going to affect the actual population of shows.
Yeah.
So it could be that we get out on tour and everyone's horrified of this happening.
Right.
And no one's coming to shows, and then it's a loss as well. But I don't know. I would like to hope for the best.
Yeah, and there's a show that we're going to go to on Thursday here. It's Wolf King and Vale of Noth.
Yep.
I'm going to go. It's going to keep me from the show.
Me too, unless someone cancels it.
Fuck that.
I'm going to that fucking show, man. And in Santa Cruz,
whatever.
We are under a state of emergency right now. So they are in our county advising against gatherings of 50 or more people. So we'll see how it plays out for us, because I don't.
Can we draw 50 people though? That
was a good one.
Little self-deprecating
But yeah, so
joke.
we don't know, man.
It's like metal, but the headline. It's like, that's a hard times somewhere. Like metal bands safe to go.
Yeah.
They can't draw
metal
50
bands
people.
Can't draw 50 people. So who knows with that? I mean, it's shot.
Sucks, yeah, for sure. But Chaney, you want to dive into one of these other questions here?
Are we in questions now?
Sure.
I was just talking. I feel like we're too early in the episode for questions.
We could just hang. I mean, I'm thinking this is the hang episode. You know what I mean? Just chilling. Not really concerned. We came off the worst episode ever. So, I mean,
yeah, we're piggybacking off the worst episode ever.
We'll do second worst episode
It's only
ever.
up from here. Really. So, yeah, we're going to see Vale of Noth and Wolf King on Thursday. I'm fucking stoked.
Yeah, that'll be sick. What's up? Wolf King has a new album, right?
Not yet. Nope.
Aren't they working on one?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's what I meant. I didn't mean that it's out.
Yeah.
Just yet.
Well, yeah. No, they're working on one. I'm sure it's... I've heard a little sneak peek of it. It's fucking killer.
You heard the whole album?
I heard a sneak peek.
A sneak peek? What's the sneak peek?
I'm not going to divulge.
Went to band practice?
I got a little sneak peek.
Went to band practice.
And I heard it, and dude, I love that band.
Yeah,
I love Wolf King a lot.
Super sick band.
So...
There's a band to check out if you guys haven't checked them out yet. It's Wolf King.
Yeah, absolutely.
Up and coming.
I think we put them on an earlier episode, but we went on tour with Wolf King last year, and
how about if we don't know a band to talk about, we just like default at Wolf King.
At Wolf King. Yeah. So.
What have you been listening to this week? Anything cool?
I've been listening to a lot of Entheos this week.
Me too.
And honestly, I feel like probably both of our brains are kind of mush because we've been working on music so much.
I know. We totally have. And I know I was hoping, like last week, I was thinking, man, we're going to have a sick announcement for this week, but it's probably going to be next week. Right?
Yeah. I guess that's the joy of us going independent, is that we can just kind of do whatever the fuck we want.
Maybe that's a problem.
Also
it's
true.
Like, just push it back on to next week. Fuck it.
Yeah, but, you know, a lot of exciting things are happening behind the scenes for us with that stuff.
Definitely.
We'll talk about it soon. And, yeah, man.
Yeah, there's some exciting stuff.
Yeah.
One is that I want to make our van into, like, one of those cool travel vans.
That would be cool.
I was thinking that's what we should do for our honeymoon, dude. What do you think?
Make our van into a travel
Look, make the van into like a sick travel van. You know, the ones that they post on Instagram and stuff. What are those called? Like a RV van? It's not a conversion. I mean, it is a conversion, but it's not what I think of when I think of
I don't
conversion.
know. I don't know what they're called.
Anyway, it's this really cool. People post traveling pictures of themselves on Instagram, and I follow some of them. I get super jealous. Trying to convince Chaney to move into the van with me. And we just be nomads.
The thing is that we
Gypsies.
just moved out of a small barn. I'm only now getting used to having a house.
Well, don't get too used to it because we're going gypsy mode, baby.
I'll gladly move into a van for like part of a year. Obviously, that's what I do. But I don't know, because of the nature of what we do, it's hard for me to want to like go on tour and then come home to the same van that I've just been on tour with.
I know, and then how do you know like where to go? Because I was thinking if we lived in a gypsy style van.
Mm-hmm.
The tour would end, and I'd just be like, all right, well, here's cool.
Yeah, I guess we live here.
But wouldn't that be cool to actually do that? I mean, come on,
Of course,
dude.
it would
That'd
be
be
cool.
kind of sick.
Of course, it would be cool, but there is, like, every time we get back home after tour, there's this huge breath of, okay, that's over.
Yeah.
And you can kind of like get that R&R because it's super grueling to go on tour. It's so fun and amazing, but it's grueling.
Yeah, but
and
what about
it's hard work.
Okay, what about this R&R? Check this out. You're like, all right, tour's over. And then I'm like, all right, Chaney, we're going over to this state park over here in Utah. And then I just set up 2 hammocks.
Well, that
and
that
then
would
we're
be
just
great.
sitting there looking at the stars.
But I'm talking
listening
about
to the crickets or whatever.
Well, I
That's
would
kinda
love
nice.
that. But
Seems
what
kinda
about
cool.
like a week later?
I don't know. That's the thing. I don't know what it would be like a week later.
I don't know. They're just
Something to think about. Something to think about.
the thing is that I have lived in a van. Like I have done that.
Okay,
I've
we've
done
lived
van. Hashtag van life is what.
We've
you know?
only lived in a van with other people. And we've never
True.
lived in a van with it all set up in this way that I'm gonna.
I
that I'm proposing.
totally agree with you.
So
And
I
we
don't
have
know.
a friend who has converted his Sprinter into something really awesome.
Yeah,
and
and that's kind of what gave me the idea. And I've been thinking, we should get a Sprinter, right? I've been thinking, after these tours and stuff, let's get home, save up, and get a Sprinter.
Mm-hmm.
But then I'm like, dude, we already have a pretty sick van.
Yeah.
Just convert that thing.
You know how some people get like buses?
Yeah, and live in the bus.
What's up with that? No, not live in it, tour in it.
Mm.
If
They
any
get
of
like a
you
short
out there
bus.
have gotten a short bus or a bus and toured in it, please write in and tell me what the advantages are of that.
I'll tell you,
because
the
I can't
story
see
is
any
not very long. We got this bus off some crazy guy on
for
Craigslist.
$4,000
It broke down
going up a
in
mountain.
Boise, Idaho.
Every time going up a mountain, it's like, yeah, dude, we just broke down going
They
up a mountain.
always break down. Always. If you see a band on tour pull up in one of those, you can be certain they're going to break down. I mean, it's always true. There's one broken down in our driveway. I don't even know how it got there.
There is.
And I'm not kidding.
No, it's a little short blue
There
bus.
is one in our driveway.
landlord has a friend who has parked his like bus in the other side of our driveway.
Yeah. It's out there chilling.
Yeah, so they all break down.
Maybe we should ask him if we can take it on tour.
Hey, we are really hoping to break down on this tour, so could we borrow your van?
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I think
Or your bus? I mean, not your van.
I think I have like this, like when I'm having a stressful day or whatever, I have this romanticized idea of like this van that's got a little kitchen in there. And like I said, I follow this van page.
Am I in the van?
I
in your
follow this
fantasy?
van page on Instagram, right? And they post photos of like it's girls and like couples.
Yeah.
And they kind of look like you. Like some of them have like
perfect.
tattoos and brown hair.
Alternative.
Yeah. And one girl's in there like making a fresh cup of coffee.
I make coffee.
Yeah. And they have like dogs too. We don't have a dog.
I like dogs though.
I know, and I'm like,
I could have one.
because sometimes I'll be at work like, dude, this fucking sucks. I don't
Are
want to
they
do this.
smoking weed?
They're not smoking
probably
weed. Well, they probably smoke weed, but they don't
behind
put
the
it.
scenes.
Yeah.
I'm sure they are.
This is a PG page. And I'll just be dreaming about like Chaney and I could just be gypsies in a van and just give it all up, you know?
You know what really gets me
I don't know.
is when you see those vans and they're like the whole back is like a window. Somehow they've converted the entire back into like a window behind the bed.
Oh, like the 2 back doors are a window?
Yeah.
Damn, I never seen that.
And they're parked up against a lake, like Crater Lake,
Yep.
for instance, and they're just overlooking this huge canyon. Okay, I can get down with it.
I mean, okay,
Just cuddling in the van.
I would personally like to experience, because tour is fun, but it's not chilling.
No.
Like, it is chilling, but for bands like us who, we don't have like drivers and all that stuff, even if you do have a driver, it's still like you got to keep going and you're on the move.
Always on the move.
And there's a bunch of crap to deal with, like playing a show every day. And then I would like to experience,
loading out.
like I haven't really traveled that much not on tour.
Yeah.
I mean, or that much is an understatement. I mean, I really haven't done much traveling at all that wasn't on tour.
We went to Europe for 2 weeks.
We did that. That was pretty huge. We've gone to Florida.
To see your grandparents.
Yeah. We've gone to Des Moines where,
To see my parents.
and
my
we went to
family.
New York for like a couple, 5 days or something?
Oh, yeah. Well, we have stayed after tour, and we went to Europe on our own. We went to Rome.
That was after a tour.
Paris,
Yeah.
France. That was after a tour for you. I flew out and met you. And then after a tour that we did together, we went to Amsterdam with the band for a day.
That's true. It was freezing.
It was freezing, and it was so painful to walk through Amsterdam that day. However,
and the whole weed thing there, I mean, whatever.
However, there were a bunch of cool things. Here's one thing that I'll say about the Red District in Amsterdam, because I've obviously my whole life been looking forward to the day when I got to like go through the Red District. You know, it's just
Why were you looking forward to it?
well, it's just something that you hear about, and you're
Yeah,
like,
I know you wanna
I
check it
want
out.
to experience that. When I got there, most of the girls were on their phones.
Yeah. Not
And that
sexy.
that really pissed me off. I was like, no one, aren't you guys like you're all naked and you're trying to like be looking enticing for people to come into the whatever type of place you have, and you're on your fucking phone, and it's like almost unanimously on their phones.
That's just what they do.
But I didn't like it because it's like I feel like it's harder to get business that way. Maybe it's just me who wasn't into the phone thing, but I found it like it took down the attractiveness and the cool part about like seeing naked women everywhere down like 50%. Because they all look like women at a bar who are fucking bored, and or
So
anyone
not much,
at a bar.
It's just that's how it is everywhere across the board.
It's just like, but anyway, that was kind of cool, whatever. And then Navene and that night as well, we found one of those moon cakes on the ground that they sell all over Amsterdam.
Oh,
the moon brownie.
Yeah, I don't
We
mess
found
with that.
one in a wrapped package, and it was me and a couple of the other guys who are down for marijuana. And we split one of those 3 ways.
Yeah.
Okay? 4 ways.
Did it get you stoned?
It got me so stoned that I slept for like 15 hours. Damn. We woke up at 3 or 4 the next day, and we'd gone to bed at...
Yeah, but that's like Europe time. Doesn't count.
Yeah, but we'd gone to bed pretty early that night. So that happened, and then
That was cool.
Navene and I woke up that day,
That's
and
cool.
we ate the best pie ever.
We got
Everyone
pie.
else left, and Navene and I were there for an extra day, and we got some pie.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was really good.
You know what I miss about tour is waking up like unbelievably late.
Yeah.
I as much as I've talked about like waking up early and all that stuff, which I'm kind of going back on now because it's fuck that. There's something so cool about waking up at like 4.
I know.
You know? It's
Especially
just
on
so counter.
Especially when you're in Europe on a tour, because
Yeah.
most of the time when you're touring in Europe on a package, you're in these double-decker buses and all 4 bands are touring together. And on the European tour that we've done together, it was with Beyond Creation, Gorod, Brought by Pain. We all got along handsomely.
We got along a little too handsomely, if you know what I mean.
I would straight up kill someone for anyone who was on that tour package. Those are all my bros. And we partied so hard. First of all, we partied so hard that we got back from Europe and we're like, we're going straight and narrow, dude. We're waking up at 5:30 every morning. But we
Your
partied.
boy got on a diet when I got home,
Yeah.
dude. Straight up.
But we partied so hard that it was almost hard to wake up at 4 p.m. And Hugo, our friend who plays bass in Beyond Creation, was the tour manager of that tour.
Yeah.
And I fucking hated Hugo every
And it's
day
like,
when he had to
"Guys,
come through our
time to wake
bunks
up."
and say, time to wake up. It was like, oh, fuck you, Hugo.
You know what's funny? Every European tour that I've ever done
I love him, though.
is that situation. I'm just like last one out of the bunk. Like, because when I don't have responsibility, I'm going to take so much advantage of that.
I know,
because
me
I have
too.
so many responsibilities here and with Entheos and stuff at home. So, yeah, I mean, I'm staying up as late as possible.
Usually 7 a.m.
I'm eating the most
There
donor
was
possible.
one night on that tour where we stayed up so late that we were up
It was ridiculous.
when we arrived at the venue.
It was
the next morning.
Yeah.
And we all got out of the bus and were like, let's go get breakfast. And we didn't. We all were like, fuck it, let's go to sleep.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
You remember that?
Wait, was that
It was in some weird place in England.
when we went and
In
got
the
breakfast,
UK.
though?
That was the
Yeah.
we ended up waking up the next day and
Yeah.
getting English breakfast.
The thing is, it got so bad with the staying up late that, like, the sun coming up was, like, not a big deal.
No.
It's like, the sun's coming up, whatever.
No.
The problem was, like, we're at the venue. Okay,
Yeah.
fuck, I need to go to sleep. Like, this is crazy.
Yeah, and some of those days were drop and go. And what drop and go means with a bus, like usually the bus will just park outside of the venue and you have access to all of your stuff all day. But a lot of the shows on that started being drop and go. Well, not a lot, but to me it seemed like a lot.
The bus drivers were how do we put this? They were looking out for their own best interests. Let's put it that way. They didn't want to do any maneuvering in any way,
Yeah.
shape, or form. So
which led to a lot of the time we would have to drop and go, or we wouldn't even get. So drop and go means that you stop at the venue and you have like 15 minutes to unload everything and clear out anything you want to use for that day, because you're not going to be able to get back to the bus until like 10 o'clock that night.
Yeah, and so maybe for people who don't know Europe, they have like really small streets in some places. So
this also happens in New York City. That's a place where bands have to drop and go all the fucking time.
So they'll just drop you and your shit off, and then they'll go fucking park in New York. They're gonna go park in New Jersey or something like that.
Right.
And then in Europe, I don't even know where they go. They go
Me
to,
either.
like
one day we had to walk. I think when we were in Slovenia.
Portugal. Porto.
Yeah, I'm not talking about that day. I'm talking about when we were in fuck, what did I just say?
Slovenia.
You threw me off. Okay, when we were in Slovenia, one of those days we walked to the bus, and it was like a mile and a half away.
Right.
So that's okay. You can kind of, now we have Uber, so you can kind of Uber if you want to spend your money. You can Uber to the bus, but it is a pain in the ass because you have to wake up early. So that's really,
What were we talking about before we got on this tangent?
We were talking about how it's cool to wake up late on tour.
Yeah, but it's like, it's so absurdly late that most people can't even like fathom it.
No, there were nights where I would wake up at 6 or right before we went on stage. I wouldn't even like go and help anyone load in. I was like, fuck that. I am gonna pretend I can't hear these motherfuckers and close my bunk and sleep.
I mean, I think vocalists, they have their own sort of
we aren't big
stuff to deal with, right? Yeah. So maybe they shouldn't have to load in.
Ego.
That's crazy, right? That's crazy for me to say that.
I mean, what do I need to help you with?
Yeah.
I
Chaney, get over here.
Feel,
help me with this 8x10 bass cab.
It's like I, most of the time when we're loading shit in, feel like I'm in the way. Because I'm not saying I'm not strong. I can carry some stuff. But some of the stuff that you guys can carry on your own, I just cannot carry on my own.
Yeah.
And if I'm there or willing to help you carry it, it's like, I got it. I'm going to do it on my own. So.
Yeah. But a lot of the times on tours that we've done, you're kind of setting up the merch and shit like that. So
not this
your weight
one.
in other ways.
Not this one, bitches.
Oh, but a
not
point that I was going to make was one of the things that I love about tour, should I hit the wrong is that you're kind of like a outsider,
Totally.
You're like a ghost.
You're a ghost.
You're just a transient, and you can just observe stuff that just has nothing to do with you. You know
Absolutely.
what I mean? Because it's like, even when you go on vacation or travel somewhere, you purposefully went to that place, and you want to be a part of, like, oh, I'm like a traveler in this city. It's really cool. But when you're on tour, you don't even really necessarily all the time know where you're going to be. You don't have it memorized. You're just going to, some of the key spots that you're going to, but sometimes, and a lot of times, you just wake up and you're like, where are we at? Oh, okay, cool. And
it's hard to keep track.
Yeah.
It's hard to keep, I was one of those people before I started touring super full time. Sorry to interrupt you, Navene, but before I started touring super full time, I was like, I'm never going to forget people's names. That's not going to be me. I'm never going to forget like playing a show. I'm never going to forget where I am. But you get on the road and you just naturally forget things.
Yeah.
And I feel so bad sometimes because it's like if I don't have a 20 or 30 minute in-depth conversation with someone, sometimes I just don't remember meeting them at all.
I know.
And
it's fucked up.
And
man.
anytime someone says to me, do you remember that we met? And I don't remember, I feel awful. Just totally awful when that happens. But it happens. You forget stuff naturally when you're on tour and when your brain is like adapting to a new place, a new time, new people. Yeah. You're meeting at least 50 people a night.
Totally.
Most of the time.
Yeah.
Especially when I was selling merch, it's like I'm meeting all kinds of people and it's hard to like
We sold merch in Europe,
keep
right?
track. Yeah, we did.
Damn. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the thing is, I always try to like play this game where if I don't know who someone is, I'll just be like, "Oh yeah, what's up, man? How you been, dude?" You know, and I'll kind of like reverse go back in time, and eventually I'll connect the dots.
You remember, yeah, you do.
But it's like it's kind of better to just not do that.
It's better to be honest.
Yeah, like I think I'm trying to think. Like I wouldn't really be that mad if someone was like, "Hey, dude, what's your name again?" I'm just be like really nice but honest about it. Like, like what if someone just said to you like, I vaguely remember you, but can you help me like connect the dots, like where we last spoke or something like that? You know what I mean?
It's a little
like,
more. Honestly, man, bad. Here's something that happened to me last year. I saw someone. I think I saw someone at NAMM who we had toured with like a year before that, and at first when he was like, "Hey, Chaney," I was like, "Do I know you?" And I didn't mean anything by it at all. Like, we didn't hang out a ton on tour, and to be fair, he was like dressed in a costume most of the tour. So it was I just had a fucking brain fart, and I still think about that once a week. Now I know exactly who he is every time because I made an effort after that. I was like, I'm never forgetting someone at least who I've gone on tour with again, because that's horrible, but it's hard. It's really hard because in the touring world, it's just so ever changing and it's constant.
Well, another thing that can jam you up pretty bad is that if you know someone from a certain city and then they pop up in another city.
Oh, that's the worst.
It throws you off.
Dude.
That's why NAMM is so weird, because it's all these people and you're like, I know this guy, but I don't know where he's from. And I remember specifically, I went out to Des Moines after tour to visit you when we first started dating. And we went to a Born of Osiris show.
Yeah, I absolutely remember that.
Okay,
100%.
I did this to Cameron because we only met like I think once before that. And I was like, "What's up, man?" Because it was in Iowa City. And, you know, it's that thing where, like, if I had been in San Francisco, he'd have known, like, oh, that's Navene.
Right,
you know?
Absolutely.
But I was in Iowa City, and I was like, what's up, dude? And I was kind of doing that thing, and he was going along with it, you know? And then after, like, 15 minutes, it was a while.
Yeah.
He was like, are you Navene?
I remember that 100%.
Yeah, and I was like, haha. And I already knew at that point.
Yeah.
I'd already been touring a long time, and I was like, yeah. I even said it to him. I was like, yeah, it's weird that I'm in Iowa, right? Like it threw you off. You didn't know who I was.
It totally throws you off.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah. And sometimes people, you know, they might be on, and this happens. It'll be like a guy from one city that you see a lot. He flew to Atlanta for some reason because his job took him there, and he went to the show.
Yeah.
And you're kind of just looking at him like, fuck, I know this guy, but I don't know from where.
I know. I saw a kid in Denver who I played music in the same scene as in Des Moines with for a long time. I was into his band and everything. And he was at a show that we played in Denver and came up to me and was like, "Hey, Chaney, do you recognize me?" And I was like, no.
Yeah.
I'm honest. I say no if I don't recognize a person.
I don't know why. For me, I always
no.
try to, I'm like, yeah, dude, for sure.
Well, because I think that like outwardly you think you're being nice or you think that
Yeah.
it's a more kind of a gesture
It's
to
not,
to
though.
remember a person.
Yeah.
But honestly, it's kind of deceitful
I know.
because
I get it.
you're just like leading down a path, and usually you get caught in those things.
Yeah, you get caught.
It's like telling a lie. You're gonna get caught because of the further you get down in time.
Yeah.
Or like trying to play both sides of a coin. It's like you're gonna get caught. You know,
It's not gonna work out for you.
it's
in the
not
end.
gonna work out for you. But telling the truth does.
I have a funny story because I'll do that same thing through text, which is even worse.
Oh, that's.
Because people will text me, "What's up, dude?" I'm just like, "Yo, dog, what's going on?"
I always say who is
And then someone one time, it was because usually I'm good at it and I can figure out like who it is after a while.
Mm-hmm.
And I was texting with somebody, and they were like, "Yo, dude, what's going on?" You know, da da da. And like we were chatting for a super long time. I was trying to figure out who it was, and then they said something, and it kind of was like I needed to know who they were. And so I just came clean. I was like, "Yo, man, I actually don't know who this is."
Oh my god! Wouldn't it have been better for you to get it out of the way from the beginning?
No, so
Wouldn't it have been better?
It's
like that's awkward as fuck.
So I was like, "All right, dude. I actually, man, I don't know who this is. I was hoping that I would figure it out by now." And the person was like, "Whoa, seriously, dude?"
They said that?
Yeah.
They got mad?
They got mad, said, "Seriously, dude?" Didn't respond. I don't know who it was. Still, to this day.
What?
Yeah.
I wonder
never
if we
know.
can do like a phone number finder. You can know. The internet exists.
I don't know if I can find the texts probably don't exist.
Do you have any friends who haven't talked to you in a while?
Yeah, all my friends haven't talked to me in a while. That's another thing. You make really close friends that don't live anywhere near you, you know?
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's kind of a thing that happens, right? You're
almost,
gone a lot.
Almost every one of my close friends does not live near me.
Yeah, I mean, I have like super good friends that I just don't see.
Well, isn't that the thing? Like for me, with my best friend in particular, he still lives in Des Moines and I live here.
Yeah.
And we spent every single day of our lives together before I moved to California. Like Eddie and I have been
And do you guys
best
still
fucking
keep
buds.
contact?
We still talk to each other every day on the internet, but as far as seeing each other in person, I even if we weren't talking to each other, or,
Yeah.
you know, we
always
would
pick up,
pick up
yeah.
right where it was when we started talking.
That's a good feeling, and that's pretty rare to
Yeah.
get that. You start to realize in your older age.
Well, I think that the older you get, I'm not going to say that like everyone is out for themselves, but it seems like the friendships that really, really stay tight and like your deepest connections tend to be with people who you have had around for a long time.
Yeah. There's
Not-
no replacement for that.
There's not. And not to
that
say that I
time.
haven't made like some of my best friends in my adult life, but who's back who are the people's backs who you like super have at the end of the day? Or wouldn't you say that most of them, 75% at least, are people who've been around since back in the day?
Yeah, for sure. And I'm appreciative, you know, because I do have a lot of friends that I've had for, I don't know, 15, 20 years,
Mm-hmm.
for sure.
Me too.
So,
But at the same time,
Don't see 'em as much,
I
so,
have
like-
some friends who we've made in
Yeah.
the last couple of years who I would fucking do anything for. So maybe I'm wrong.
I'm trying to think of a really
Maybe I'm wrong.
Person who I would like text a lot.
Your brother?
No, that I've made recently, like that I text currently.
There are a few people for me.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
there's not that many for me.
You're not as much of a text guy.
I do text. I got a couple people on text.
I have like full-blown conversations on text.
Yeah, I'll send a couple. It's not a. I guess a conversation probably not going to happen.
Mm.
Like a big long like text that's like that, like a big one,
Yeah, I'll do those.
like a lot, like daily.
Not daily, for sure not.
Yeah, I'm not
Some days
having
I don't
those.
want to. Some days I don't want to text anyone.
Yeah.
But I will have a conversation on text if you get me.
Yeah, I do too, but it's just like short or like
Yeah, mine aren't short.
a lot of emojis involved.
I can go back and forth, depending on the person. I can go back and forth with them for a good probably half an hour. It's the same to me as back in the day when I would get on AIM.
Yeah. That's like awesome. I love that.
Mm-hmm.
Love that shit. I think texting is like my favorite thing about the phone
Mine too.
over like all the social media and stuff.
Mine is just being able to keep in contact with friends.
Yeah.
And like you said, even, just you can share.
Just
You
some
can build
shit
you
or
can
whatever.
build friendships without seeing each other. And
Yeah.
you can meet someone once or twice and build like way more of a friendship with them than you would just
Then you
through
would've.
texting.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
I mean, I've built some of my best friendships just through people who I most. You know what? Now that I'm thinking of people that I know, it's like I have met a lot of people, and there are a lot of like really good friends that I have throughout my life.
Yeah.
My very best friend in the world is someone who I've known for a really long time, but I have a lot of really great friends who I've met like in the past couple of years.
Yeah, and then I say
So,
it all
I take it
over and
back.
over again.
I take
That's
it
the
back.
best part about going on tour. Is
Yeah.
meeting all these fucking awesome people.
And it's when you go on tour, you're speeding into a relationship because you see people every single day and you're around them for hell of hours. By hell of, I mean a lot.
Right.
For you non-NorCal people.
Yeah. And it's like you have that common ground.
Yeah.
Right? Like everybody's doing the same thing.
Right. And that's
It's just hard to find out. I'm just noticing it's hard to find that same thing outside of tour.
And that's when you tour with a bunch of bands, that's like your state.
Yeah.
Because you're touring. It's
Yeah.
almost like you're all gypsies of the same blood
That's what I'm talking about.
who are touring together. And it's cool to have that bond with people. And that's why it's funny to me to think about how like from the outside people like rank bands. Who's the best? Or like this band versus this band. Fuck this
When they're
band. I love when all of us are friends.
Yeah.
Because we all like think of how much shit there is to relate on, and especially when you tour with people for
Or like when some guy comes up to you at a show and is like, "Oh, dude, I'm here for you guys. Fucking
Yeah, it's
headlining
like-
band sucks."
like,
it's like, yeah, dude, they suck. Awesome.
Here's the thing with that. It's like I appreciate the sentiment. I get what you're trying to say, that you really like our band, but those bands are if I'm on tour with bands, I'm friends with at least one or two people in every band.
Yeah.
Like
Like you're beyond cordial with every single person.
beyond
and then
cordial.
You find a couple homies that you really
Who are
get
like
down
your
with.
who are like your group.
Yeah.
Your crew.
And that's why it's so hard to not like I've said this before, but I have the kind of unique experience of doing that and then not doing that for like a long time and then going and doing it again.
Right.
And I'm just able to appreciate it in a different way, I think.
Because you've been without it after having it, like being pummeled with it.
Yeah, because like Animosity, I think we toured for like, I don't know, maybe 6 or 7 years.
You guys were a band for that long?
No. Actually, now that I think, no, we were. I was about 18, and then the band sort of fizzled when I was like 24. So
Really?
It's like 6 years of like, I joined the band when I was like 16, but we didn't tour until I was about 18.
Oh, okay.
And then, so yeah, I think we had 6 probably solid.
But it seems
5
like
or 6.
8 actual years of being a band, and then 5 or 6. Wow.
5 or 6 solid years of like really actually doing like a U.S. tour, or full tours.
Yeah.
And then I didn't tour for a year, and then did Animals, and then after Animals, I didn't tour for, I don't know, 3 or 4 years. Probably not that long.
It wasn't that long because you toured 2 times one year with Navene.
Yeah. So
I think it was probably 2 years.
I've said this before, maybe in private.
You can say things twice, Navene.
Band
it's okay.
people who are like they're over it, right? They're jaded by the whole thing, sick of it.
Mm-hmm.
Take 1 year off. 1 year is like great. You can be at home for a year. It's awesome. But after a year, it starts to be like, okay, I want to fucking do something else.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't know if that's something that ever goes away. It hasn't for me. As a guy who's in the past not even really, I've complained about touring a bunch in my life. So.
Well, I think that with touring, it's easy to see both sides of the coin because there are years where you tour 5 times in a year. The year that we did the European tour, we did a Rings of Saturn tour, Summer Slaughter, went almost straight to Europe, came home and did a 2-week tour. So I know that one of those tours was 2 months long.
Yeah.
Summer Slaughter was about a month and a half. So add that to Winds of Plague, and that was 4 months total. So we're looking at almost a half a year of touring that year. And by the end of the year, I was like, I could stand to be at home for 3 or 4 months.
Yeah.
And then there are years where you don't tour as much. We had a year gap, I think an 11-month gap between going out with Dillinger and going out with Whitechapel.
That's crazy.
I know, it's crazy to think that in the span of our band, we've taken that much time off.
It's like 1/5 of the band's career.
Yeah. So after that year, I was like, okay, what the fuck am I doing with my life? Like I was having almost a nervous breakdown because I didn't want to be at home anymore.
Yeah.
So it's easy to see it from both sides. And for me, the most comfortable place is the yin and the yang.
Yeah, I agree. And I've always tried to do that for sure. And that's kind of something that I think is unique, like people in bigger bands I've talked to before who are kind of, maybe they're getting a little bit at the end of their rope or whatever. Like, a few people have confided in me in bigger bands. Let's put it that way. Because I have that experience of quitting a big band and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of the time people just need a break.
I think so too.
They just need a break, like more than 3 months. They need like I said, 1 year, and you will feel totally different.
I think the unfortunate part of that is that sometimes when people need that year break, it's just not possible to do in a band that wants to be on the road all the time. So a band may naturally move on without you. And I know that it's weird to see like people quit bands and bands to go through rotating lineups and things like that. But you have to keep in mind how hard and mentally draining this can be on people.
Yeah.
And you have 4 or 5 people in a band. You have to imagine that for 1 or 2 or 3 or even 4 or maybe all of them.
Yeah.
It's just not the right life.
Yeah,
or they like need to take a year off, but they can't because the other 4 people really want to tour.
Exactly.
So that year that they want to take off ends up being that they have to choose to not be in their band anymore. And then when they're ready to come back on tour, they can't because the band has moved on with someone else.
That's just the way it goes with bands. That's just part of the deal. And it's going to be near impossible to get that many people on the same page.
Exactly.
That's
it's
why
very
you
hard.
Don't see it very often.
That's why it's so rare for a band to maintain the same lineup for years. And it's like, 100%. People, I think when things happen with bands, people always assume that it's bad blood. Oh, one person in that band must really suck. And,
Yeah.
But I often find that it's a lot of the time not for that purpose. It's not because there's bad blood in the band. It's because someone needs to move on with their life in a way that just doesn't include being on tour for 6 months
or
a year.
just being so dedicated to one thing. Like, how many people are really going to be 100% dedicated to this one thing?
Exactly.
Sometimes it starts to get into your head like, oh, what would life be like without me having to sacrifice so much to do this thing, right? Like, what if I didn't have to worry about going on tour every 2 months? What if I didn't have to dedicate all my energy to this, that, and the other thing?
Or potentially go in debt over things.
And that gets in your head, and then you start exploring that. And I totally get that. I mean, I've done that a million times.
And a lot of the time in bands may appear as bands as 5 people working on like a similar level from the outside, but in a lot of bands, not every band, it's more of a singular vision, and it's more the project of one person.
Yeah.
And or two people or just three, you know, there's usually a core group.
Yeah.
I would say more often than not, there's a core in what we do. There's like a core person or group of people who are really behind the ideas and the music of the band.
Right.
And if you're not one of those people, I can 100% understand why it would be very hard to give up all kinds of things over another person's vision.
Right. Yeah, because no matter what, it's not your thing at the end of the day.
Exactly.
You know? And even if the other people in the band are being totally cool and want to split it all, even whatever the credit and all that stuff, I get that it's not always like that deep down.
Absolutely. It just depends. It just depends what you want to do in life and if you can take it.
Yeah. I mean, it's dealing with human beings, which are hard to deal with.
I mean, man.
So
there are a lot of times where you think a person is one thing and they're a totally different thing after you tour with them, and you just like, it's hard. There are personalities that clash all the time. It just depends. I mean, it's a very strange world to work in, especially when you're in a band and touring together all the time. And, you know, if things get hard, people might take it out on the people around them, or you're experiencing all kinds of things together. And I know that it's cliche for people to say that it's like being married to 4 or 5 people, but it's totally like that.
yeah.
It's totally like that, and your children are the band. So all of the decisions that you have to like share with other people, you have to talk about it with 4 different people and get the opinions of 4 different people. And it can be hard. It can be hard.
Totally. Well, you want to do some questions, Chaney? Or
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Let's do it. So this comes in from a guy named Kenny.
Hey, Kenny.
Shout out to Ken.
Shout out, bruh.
He says, stoked to see you on this run. Thanks for a bunch of shows in my area.
You're welcome.
I specifically said that we should play in Kenny's area.
Yeah, we said, you know Kenny, find him, look him up in the phone book.
Get me Kenny, I want him.
Get us shows in his area.
So I'm in Jersey, he says. He's going to hit up Dingbats and
dude.
Voltage Lounge.
You remember Dingbats?
I don't know.
Dingbats is the first place that we played on the Betraying the Martyrs tour last year. Austin Archie was there.
Oh, yeah. That place is sick,
That
dude.
place is
I'm down
sick.
for that place.
It was the Sentinels Boys' like home
Got
venue
it.
on that tour.
Yeah.
So
I'm
there's some
stoked to play
Jersey
there again.
boys.
That'll
Me
be
too.
awesome.
Can't
'Kay.
wait.
So he's going to be there, too.
See you,
stoked for
dude,
this.
Kenny, stoked to see you there, man.
And he's also going to Voltage in Philly. Voltage Lounge.
Also a great
little
venue.
He said the last time he was there, the band he waited for 4 months to see canceled because they didn't think the PA was good enough.
Are you sure, Kenny? Because last time it wasn't
pretty
last
shocked.
time, but a few times ago that we played Voltage Lounge, there was what was that
Like a
storm
blown-
called?
Oh, yeah.
A winter under, or
Yeah.
like a right wing
Oh, yeah.
something, right winger.
No. Nor'easter.
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 Okay, there was a nor'easter there on that Rings of Saturn tour. We were supposed to play Voltage, and we were all parked outside of
Yeah.
Voltage,
I don't
and
think
they
he's talking
canceled
about
the
that.
show. I don't think he is either, but I'm just saying, was it for sure because they were
Could have been another
egotistical?
Nor'easter. And then he
I don't
said,
know.
random trivia, before it was Voltage Lounge, it was called Whiskey Dicks with an
Whoa,
X.
that's weird.
That is funny.
I can't imagine that.
Going to be saying that to everybody there.
Hey, remember when this was called Whiskey Dicks?
And then he said,
I'm sure they'll love
I guess
that.
he doesn't really have a question. He's just saying what's up.
Oh, he's saying what's up.
You
Cool.
mentioned on the podcast to send music. So here's some stuff with sick drumming that maybe you've heard before. If so, sorry. I'm old and I don't get out much.
We feel you, dude.
Thanks also to Navene. I got back into playing drums about a year ago after a 9-year layoff.
Damn, that's awesome.
I guess the drumming higher-ups laid them off. They're like, you can't play drums anymore.
Kenny, we're putting you on unemployment, buddy.
Your playing has been a big inspiration. That's awesome.
That's super awesome, Kenny.
And then he's claiming that Jersey has the best pizza. That's pretty bold.
Okay, take me to a good pizza spot. Show me the money.
He's saying to check out Burnt by the Sun, The Accused, and Adrenaline OD. So I've heard Burnt by the Sun a bunch. Dave Witt or Witty, I don't know which one it is. Yeah,
the world may never know.
That's the drummer. He's super sick. I was way into his other band when I was back in my younger years, Discordance Axis.
Oh, shit. Dropping knowledge.
Super sick, like grindy band. Really good. Anyway, we'll have to check out The Accused and Adrenaline OD.
Yeah, definitely
well.
will.
Yeah.
Thanks, Ken.
So, Chaney, you want to roll?
We're looking forward to seeing you, man.
Well, I got to read this other question because it's kind of for you. So, Kenny, shout out. Thanks for calling in. I guess that was more of a call-in, kind of a little...
We should start doing call-ins.
Let's do that.
That would be so fun.
Let's do that.
Or like every so often we'll have call-ins.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to figure that out and do some call-ins.
Okay, we're doing call-ins. Maybe next week's show. I don't know. We'll see.
I don't know. We'll see.
If Navene can figure that. I actually know how to do it.
Navene is our tech guy.
I know how to do it. Right. But they'd have to Skype. I don't know if that would work that well.
It would. I think it'd be fine.
Okay. We got one last question, and then Chaney and I are going to go eat some pulled chicken that we've been slow cooking all day.
Yes, we have.
This is from Maryland.
And maybe macaroni and cheese.
We're thinking mac and cheese, too. 68 cents a box.
Not Kraft.
Budget friendly.
Yeah, we're doing this thing where we're trying to eat only $100 worth of food a week and keep it within our calories.
Yeah, so it's a bunch of different... It's fun.
So we're psychos, basically.
Yeah.
Hey, Marilyn.
Okay, Marilyn. Let's see here. Marilyn. I really love the podcast.
Thank you.
I have played bass since I was 15. I love music, and I have spent my early 20s focusing on being a mom and working full-time. Now that my daughter is a little older, I have really focused on diving more into music again and have a newfound drive to do so. Listening to you guys talk about how you make a life outside of music has been really inspiring. Life outside music sucks, by the way. Just putting that out there. It's not that cool.
That's not true. I'm sure that having a kid is really awesome.
Yeah, no. Well, she's saying how we're inspiring on that.
Oh, thing. Yeah.
I'm trying to be less inspiring these days. So.
No.
I'm dropping the positivity. It's over. Okay. She says she loves the music suggestions.
Awesome.
It's turned her on to a few bands she really digs, like Atme.
Dude,
Atme needs to give me some residual income, dude, because it's like everybody calls in saying they love the band Atme, you know?
I think that we need to give them residual income because people are typing into us just because they like Atme.
True.
And a memory just popped up on my Facebooks talking about how just a year ago was that night we saw Atme.
It seems like longer.
Dude, Atme should be a big fucking band. Everyone should know about Atme. Yeah. Seriously, if you don't, go listen to their last album. It is like, if you're if you're a lover of the Suffocations, Decapiteds,
just catchy death metal, catchy death metal.
Zenith Passage, our band, like groovy, catchy shit. Those guys do it really well, man.
I mixed it, by the way.
Navene mixed it.
Just putting that out there. Anyway. So her question is, Chaney, how do you approach your lyrical process? And that she looks forward to hearing the new album.
Hell yeah.
Okay, I need to pee so bad, so I'm just going to put it over on you real quick.
I got this. Marilyn, thanks for writing in. That's awesome that you play bass, and I obviously am not a parent, but I'm sure that's a pretty crazy job. And, it's awesome that you have done that, and now you're getting back into playing music. That's super cool. And I hope that you continue on with it, because not only is that awesome for you, I'm sure that will bring your daughter along with you. And that's always so cool to me, to see parents who are inspiring that kind of thing in their kids, which, because you're in tune with this shit and listen to metal already, I'm sure that that's already something that's happening for you, because music is probably a pretty big part of your life. I'm gonna assume that. But that's awesome, man, and power to you. So as far as my lyrical process, my approach is pretty free-spirited. I write lyrics all the time. I write poetry all the time. My first love is writing. I was the editor of my high school newspaper. Like, this shit runs deep for me. And so I would be doing that with or without being in a band. And I was doing it without being in a band. And I have like years and years worth of journals of words and lyrics and things like that. So when I'm actually going into the lyrical process for a record, a lot of the time I will go back and read through things that I've written in the past and see if that incites anything.
It's kind of like a bank
in me,
right?
Exactly. It's a word bank, poetry bank.
That's what I do for like riffs.
Exactly.
I just like bank tons of riffs.
Exactly. It's the same idea. I have a ton of shit in my notes on my computer. Like, I printed it out the other day, and over the last 2 years, when I have my stuff down to an 8 font in poetry format, I had 23 pages worth of writing over the past 2 years.
Damn.
And that is a shitload. That's just on my computer, not to mention like the notebook thing. So like when I'm sitting down and actually working on songs, I will structure out things that I have written to go together and make one, form one vision. So yeah, that's really just what I do. And as I'm forming those like things, and it's all dependent on like what kind of a phrase I want to put in a part, because one thing that metal vocals are really reliant on are syllables and patterns. And a lot of the time, a lot of what writing lyrics is not just coming up with words that make sense and a story or a thing that makes sense. It's coming up with things that make sense within a certain amount of syllables.
So you have to do that. You write the lyrics, but then you sort of revise it
as I go
to fit in.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So this is the biggest part of the process for me. This is like tracking vocals and doing all of that stuff is really easy to me compared to actually having the lyrics ready to go, because it's if one extra syllable doesn't feel good to me or makes sense in a phrase or in the whole song, then I'm like changing full fragments of words to make it all make sense. So it becomes a really tedious process. Navene knows firsthand from working with me for so many years that I go back and edit things that I've done so many times. Like, yeah. And that's one of the reasons that I love tracking with Navene so much, or when I'm not working on Entheos, I track myself. That is one of the major conveniences to doing that, is that I can go back and make things fit if I'm not comfortable with how they're coming out. So yeah, the lyrical process, I mean, for me, that's how it is. For other people, I'm sure it's different.
Right.
But it's the lyrical process is a stressful process to me. I'm going through it right now.
That's every process of, well, I'd say most of making music is somewhat stressful, but really for me, it's just the recording part. The rest of it's pretty easy.
Yeah. Recording is, I will get super, super agitated when I'm tracking.
I noticed.
Yeah. Navene knows firsthand. And over the years, I've gotten way better about it and more.
Huh.
You didn't notice that. But you know.
No, I'm just kidding. Yeah. I was actually thinking that we have got some material coming out, and that you and I haven't really had any little tiffs or anything.
No, but we, like, in the past, we've gotten in.
Yeah.
Like, not like screaming matches or anything, but we've
I sort of get how it is.
Yeah. We've gotten like into it during recording just because it becomes an agitating process, you know? But
totally.
Navene's trying to go eat chicken.
That's I'm rolling the music,
That's
dude.
all he gives a fuck about.
I haven't really
Marilyn, thanks for writing in. I hope that answers your question. And
right.
Kenny and Sean. All right, you guys, don't catch coronavirus, all right? We
All
love
right.
you.
Any last words,
and
babe?
we care about
Chaney?
you.
Hey, thanks to our sponsors, Direct Sound,
Recess Coffee.
Recess Coffee.
Moon Juice CBD by Jade Rabbit.
Fuck yeah.
Love y'all.
We'll see you guys next week.
Have a good week, you guys. Much love.